Hey there, I wanted to share a few tips when it comes to asking for testimonials. This is going to be a short mini training on my recommended tips for how to incorporate testimonial and feedback forms into your workflow. We all know that as business owners, especially when it comes to online businesses, social proof is so important in helping you sell and helping your potential clients make decisions and to give you that credibility and authority you need in the space that you're serving. And so I'm going to share 3 tips on how to ask for testimonials, how to incorporate this into your flow, and how you can use the free template that you just downloaded in your processes to ensure that you're getting those raving reviews and you're getting the feedback you need to share on all your marketing channels. So let's get into it. First things first, one of the easiest ways that you can get feedback from clients is incorporating this feedback form directly into your workflow process. I always recommend sending this to your clients after the service is completed and giving them enough time to be able to either implement the service or product or utilize it before you ask for feedback. Let's say you're a coach and you're working on mindset and you ask for a feedback the day after the service ends, chances are your clients haven't had a chance to really soak in all of the knowledge you've given them and experience that transformation. Maybe you're a photographer. If you try to ask for feedback before you've delivered the images, the client hasn't finished that experience of getting those images and getting the product to be able to talk about how that product made them feel, how the images made them feel. So it's really important that before we ever send out a feedback request or ask for a review, we've given them enough time to be able to implement, view the product, use the product, experience the service before we ask. So depending on what your service you're offering and what you're delivering, you want to give yourself at least, a few days to a week's time to really be able to implement this before you start asking for those feedbacks and the testimonial request. Now, with the feedback form you just downloaded, this testimonial form that you have in Dubsado, this is your chance to get very specific with feedback. When you're sending out a form, you could just say, hey, leave a testimonial here. But because we're sending out a form, this is your chance to get that private feedback you're wondering about when it comes to your service, how you performed, what the client thought about specific aspects. I've seen it done many different ways, from very simple forms to how did you feel before and after? What was the experience like, to very detailed forms asking, how did you feel about this one specific thing? What would you change here? Is there anything I should know? Use this opportunity to truly get critique and feedback, whether good or bad, because feedback, negative or positive, is always a good thing for us to grow. Make sure you're giving them that opportunity here to actually get that feedback from them. Now, I always recommend to automate this form because the last thing you need to worry about as a business owner is remembering to send the feedback form manually. You're probably already moving on to your next client, you're working, you're in the business, and you having to manually remember, hey, I need to send this form to the client. It's too much. With workflows, you can automate this form to send in that offboarding process or post-delivery, post service, to send at an automated time, whether that's, like I said, a couple days, a couple weeks. Automate this to send so you can be hands off and just get the referrals and the feedback rolling in. Now, the second one is to ask for a public review. So the form itself is really for us to get, again, that critique, that feedback, ask specific questions, especially if we are trying to revise an offer. We want to make sure that we're offering the best possible service we can. But we all know that public reviews posted online, such as Google or Facebook or any other platforms where you're taking reviews, the Knot if you're a photographer, maybe House if you're an interior designer, those are so important to our business as well because we're able to utilize those reviews online and we can screenshot them because a public review is going to be much more credible than a review that we've typed up on our website. So getting those public reviews is just as important as getting personal one-on-one feedback from your clients. One way we can do this is by sending an email to past or current clients with a message just asking them to post a review to your Facebook or your Google. This could be part of your offboarding process. Once you've offboarded the client, hey, it was so great working with you. I just wanted to check in. Would you mind leaving your review on Google or Facebook? It would be so invaluable to my business and it would mean so much to me for you to leave your kind words. That's a great way to do it if you just want to go the review route and you want to skip the form step. And you might have different options for different services. Maybe for more of your high ticket services that are much more expensive, you send a feedback form. And maybe for other services that are a little bit smaller in price point or in time spent or bandwidth, you just ask for a review online. What we can also do in the scenario of combining option one that we just saw and option two is ask for both on the feedback form. So, as you saw in the feedback form template you just downloaded, there is a section to ask personalized questions for that critique. And at the very bottom of the form, I also included a spot to ask for a review. This is my personal favorite way to do it. I do this in my own business. I send a feedback form with specific questions. At the end of the form, I ask them to copy and paste an answer from the previous question, which would say something like, what was it like working with me? A very blanket statement where they can type all of the fun details and all of the kind words. And I just tell them, hey, would you mind copy and pasting that question above in your answer and post it to Google or wherever so that way I can have a public record of this review? You'd be surprised how many people do both. They'll fill out the feedback form and they post the review. Or sometimes they don't fill out the feedback form, they just do the review and vice versa. The end goal is just to get the feedback, whether it's a public review, whether it's the form completion. We want feedback from clients. And so this is a great way to do this. Especially if you're at a point right now in your business where you're not currently doing this in your offboarding process, you may have past clients from this year who you never asked for a review from. You can always go back and ask clients, hey, I just realized I never asked you for your feedback. Would you mind heading to Google and dropping in some details in Google about your experience? There's nothing wrong with asking previous clients to do this, even if it's been some time since you last spoke to them or you last wrapped up the service. One pro tip I can give, because as we all know, we're all busy. And so sometimes sitting down to write a review can feel a little daunting, especially if we're not good writers, we don't have a lot of time. Give your clients a little guiding start to their review, a little script to start off with. Something like, hey, if you're short on time, here's a couple of ideas to get you going on your review. And give them a quote of a sentence to start with, such as, working with Taylor made me feel ... They fill in the blank. Or before working with Taylor, my business was ... and now it is ... Or Taylor made me feel blah, blah, blah. Like, you can really give them a guiding start to your review process. That way it's super simple. All they need to do is copy that first little script and plug in the answer. And it really helps them to spend less time trying to think of a review or how to start the review. They can just get their words on the review, on the feedback, and move on with their day. The last one, number 3, this is really great, again, for those of you who maybe have never asked clients for review or feedback, and you have a list of clients you could potentially ask for, especially those clients you know had a great service. They gave you great feedback, whether it was verbally or via DMs, or they've said how great it was working with you. Get their feedback. One really great way to do this, if you're trying to backtrack on previous clients, is by sending an end of year review or end of quarter review request. This could be almost like a survey, formatted and title it as end of year survey or end of quarter survey. Send it to all your past clients every year, every quarter, and get specific insight on the business, their success, what they've implemented, how it was to work with you. Use this opportunity for that constructive feedback to get all those review requests from past clients that you haven't yet received reviews or feedback from yet. And this great pro tip, one of my favorite ways to incentivize clients to actually do this, because again, we're all busy and sometimes these can be just that one task that we're like, oh yes, I'll get to that review, and we never do. One way we can do that is by incentivizing them. Once they complete your survey, send them a Starbucks gift card, send them an Amazon gift card, give them a coupon for one of your products or services. These are just a couple of ideas to incentivize them, and it doesn't have to be anything crazy. In the past, I've asked clients, hey, if you fill out this form, I'll send you a $5 Starbucks gift card, coffee on me. This will just give them that extra push they need to actually submit the form, submit the review, and ensure that you're getting that feedback that you want. Regardless of how you use these different options for feedback and testimonial, getting client testimonials is going to be so crucial in your business. And once you implement this, whether it's through workflows or an end of year or end of quarter request, you will be automating this process. So it is a no-brainer that every time you work with a client, you'll be getting that feedback as needed. Again, if you ever have questions about how to use testimonial forms, when to ask, how to do it, I'm always an email or a DM away, and I can't wait to see what reviews you have come in.